When you buy a brand new snowboard for the first time, your edges will be in really good condition. They would have come straight out of the factory, they'll be nice and sharp, and you'll have really good grip in the snow. After riding around for a while, maybe hitting a few rails or running over a couple of rocks, you'll find that your edges lose that sharpness, and you may want to re-edge them or tune them to get them nice and grippy again. So to tune or detune your edges today, you'll need a basic file, a rag, and most importantly, an edge file in a file guide. Now, a couple of brands make these. I'm using a Demon one today, but you can also get them from brands like Detuning. They're pretty affordable and they're really useful. So what I'm going to do to start off with is just inspect the edge and really look for burs. So these will be parts on the edge where you may have hit a rock or a rail has caused some edge damage, and we're just going to be trying to find that major damage and reducing it before we set the new edge. So I'm going to do this just by running my finger along the edge, very, very lightly and carefully, because these can be quite sharp. We're just looking for rough patches. When we come across one, if you grab your file, you can just start to take away some of those burs very lightly. Just get them a little bit smoother. So this is the edging tool that you're going to be using to sharpen your edges. You want to make sure that you put that crosshead side down, back into the file. Looking at the file guide itself, we've got a 90-degree side and a 88-degree side. Most snowboard manufacturers will build their edges with a 90-degree bevel, so a perfect right angle. A couple of other manufacturers that build jib-specific models may decide to use a slightly beveled base edge, which is beneficial if you're riding rails a lot and you don't want to be catching your edges. For the most part though, we're going to be thinking about using the 90-degree side to keep our edges, as they were, nice and sharp. So a lot of these edging tools will have an arrow on the file showing you which direction you're meant to use them in. This particular one doesn't, so if that's the case, it's worth going to their website and just trying to find out if it is a directional file or if you can use it both ways. So once you've figured out which direction your file is meant to be running and you've got it set in the 90-degree side, we're going to start to file away the edge. Now there's lots of different schools of thought on whether you're meant to use these tools on your base edge or just your side edge. My personal opinion is that if you use it too much on the base edge, it's going to bring the edge below the base, and then what you'll need to do is get a base grind to bring the base back down to sit flush with the edge. So we'd recommend probably filing the base edge down with a gummy stone, removing any burrs, but setting any edge bevel only on the side edge, which is what we're going to do now. So got it in at 90 degrees, and we're going to make sure that it's sitting nice and flush against the edge, and then in a couple of smooth movements we're going to run it along the edge. So we're going to do a couple of passes, and you'll be able to feel where your file is hitting those burs. Three passes is probably enough. You don't want to take away too much material. A lot of people will actually draw along the edge with a marker pen so they can see exactly what they're taking off. So that final pass felt really smooth, and that should be good. Make sure you don't touch the edge after you've done this, because it will be full of metal shards. So if you just grab a rag, you can just get rid of all those shards so they don't end up in your fingers. And that edge should now feel rather smooth to the touch. You can do a little nail test as well. If you just run your nail down the edge, if it takes off a fraction of material from your nail, you know it's nice and sharp. So once you've run that 90-degree edge file all the way on the side edge from one contact point through to the other contact point, you can flip the board over and do the same on the other side. The next step is to grab a gummy stone and just to polish up both the side edge and the base edge, and just smoothing out any of those final micro burrs that you may have, and get the edge really nice and smooth and good to go. So once you've got your edges nice and sharp, one final step you might want to take is just to detune the contact point slightly so that you reduce the chances of hanging up. So the way you do that is you take your file, and at 45 degrees you just want to round off those edges. And then you will repeat that obviously in the four corners of the board where the contact points are. So you've just detuned your contact points and sharpened your edges, and you're ready to take your board out on the hill. Some jibbers may choose to employ that filing technique to their entire edge, making it nice and round so that they don't hook up on rails. Of course, they'll also have less grip in icy conditions. As with all of these home tuning techniques, of course you will get a far more professional job if you were to take it into a specialised snowboard shop. However, for a cheap way of keeping your board in good condition, we'd highly recommend giving this a try yourself.